Greetings, adventurers, and welcome back to Abnormal Voyages. My name is David, and today we find ourselves in Pickerington, Ohio. We are here to check out the Motorcycle Hall of Fame Museum. So rev up your engines and let's go for a ride. Tag along.
We're going to a place that you've never heard of before. It's Abnormal Voyages. You're gonna learn something new. We're gonna open new doors. It's Abnormal Voyages.
Motorcycles are a passion and way of life for hundreds of thousands of people. This museum was established in 1990 to celebrate this mechanical marvel. The whole story begins with this little guy here, the Daimler Reitwagen. This is considered the world's very first gasoline-powered motorcycle and debuted in 1885. Though designs have of course changed a bit and become more streamlined since then, the heart of the vehicle is still the same. The motorcycle hit its transportation peak in the early 1900s, though that was replaced by the Model T that Henry Ford rolled out, which made it more affordable for people to have full-size automobiles. From there, motorcycles shifted a bit towards recreation and sport, though they are still used very commonly for people just to get around in their everyday lives. The opening half of this museum gives you a fantastic idea of just how motorcycles have evolved over the decades. You get to see different models from all different time spans and see the different ways that they were utilized and the evolution of technology. As you make your way through and are admiring all of these beautiful bikes, you'll also be introduced to some of the big names that have been honored here in the Hall of Fame. These are people who have truly added to and changed the entire world of motorcycles.
And of course, you can't have a Motorcycle Hall of Fame talk without mentioning Harley Davidson. We have not only one of the bikes here, but a whole lot of memorabilia and the very founders of Harley Davidson.
Being probably the most famous motorcycle brand in the world, it's no surprise that the founders of Harley Davidson have found their place here in the Motorcycle Hall of Fame. I wonder what they would think about the world of motorcycles today.
A big part of the motorcycle culture is not only having them for recreational use, but for racing. So now we're going to cross over and look at not only dirt track racing, but road racing.
Motorcycle racing has been around almost as long as motorcycles themselves. The first recorded race happened on November 29th in 1895. The largest governing body for motorcycle racing is the FIM, which in English translates into the International Motorcycling Federation. They host and organize tons of different motorcycle racing events all over the world every single year. Now, there are several different types of racing that you can do with motorcycles, but the FIM classifies it into four main categories. You have road racing. After that, you come to motocross. Then you have enduro and cross country. And last but not least, you have track racing. Each of these four main categories have several smaller subcategories in them, and every single one is thrilling to be a part of. It takes a lot of courage and skill to be a successful motorcycle racer, no matter which category you happen to be a part of. The popularity of motorcycle racing is certainly on the rise. If you look back to the very beginning, the World Championship calendar actually had less than 10 races a year on it. In fact, the first 2 years were only 6 races each. But from there, more and more people became enthralled with the motorcycle racing and decided they too wanted to hit the track and give it their best shot. Today, you can find motorcycle races happening all over the place. There's even a whole division of NASCAR that's devoted to the bike racing. As a matter of fact, in our previous episode covering the Daytona Speedway, they sometimes use that very track for a race that lasts for 200 miles of motorcycling. But bringing up Bike Week and the famous Daytona 200, we have now crossed over into talking about motocross.
Changing the way that motorcycles were seen was motocross and supercross. This took the dirt racing to a whole new level.
If you're looking for excitement and thrills in your motorcycle racing, this is where you want to look. Motocross has some of the highest speeds and the biggest jumps in any motorcycle racing. Though it may seem like more of a modern thing when you look at the motocross of today, it's actually been around for quite a while. It began in the United Kingdom at the turn of the century. In the early 1900s, they would hold time trials in the UK for other races, and that eventually turned into off-road versions that they called scrambles. Pretty soon people decided that this was a whole lot of fun all on its own, and the very first official motorcycle scramble happened in 1924. Though it presumably looked probably pretty different from what we have today, the general concept was still there. Something that may surprise people who are not very familiar with the sport, several studies have been done that consistently rank motocross among the most physically demanding sports in the entire world. It takes a lot of effort and years of training to get to the professional level of being great at motocross. With such a demanding and spectacular sport, I'm glad that they've found a way to include them here in the Hall of Fame. But let's move on and check out some unusual bikes.
Motorcycles are often tailored to fit specialty things, such as this one here, very sleek, very nice. This was created to hopefully set the record for the fastest motorcycle land speed. This one didn't quite make it at the time, but it did lead to the one that did take the record at over 367 miles per hour. It's pretty fast. At one point, fuel economy for motorcycles was a very big deal. There was actually a competition in which this beautiful specimen here was entered. This motorcycle made an entire trip from New York to California on 15 gallons of gas. That's insane.
Along with specialty motorcycles, another very popular category is that of Daredevils. These guys are out there pushing motorcycles to their very limits. This section was almost a celebrity motorcycles area, as it did display many of these motorcycles used by Daredevils and talked a little bit about their riders, as well as this police motorcycle here that was used in the filming of Terminator, so that was super cool to see. But it hadn't performed quite as many stunts as some of these other Daredevil ones had. For example, this was ridden by Doug DeMocos, who was known as the Wheelie King. But if we're talking Daredevils, one name does rise above the rest.
One of the greatest motorcyclists in the entire world, often called the King of the Stuntmen, Evel Knievel.
Evel Knievel is a true legend, and at one point was one of the most famous people in the world. He performed countless jaw-dropping tricks on his motorcycles and jumped over things that seemed impossible for an average human to do. At one point, Evel even said, "Nobody wants to see me die, but they don't want to miss it if I do." Evel broke 433 bones in his life, a Guinness World Record.
And here, in a Ring of Honor, we have the AMA Motorcycle Hall of Fame Gallery. Upon the walls are the names of everybody that is entered into these hollowed halls and what year they were put in and why.
This Hall of Fame honors people in the motorcycle world from over 8 different categories. So whether you're a designer, engineer, a dirt track racer, or even an ambassador for the industry, here you will always be fondly remembered.
Well, thanks for riding along with us today, adventurers. My name is David. This has been Abnormal Voyages. We'll see you on the road.
Thanks for watching Abnormal Voyages. Thanks for watching.